some absolute belters, hasn't there?
There was a London versus Toulouse one, was it? That was really high scoring. Or was it London Sheffield? I don't know. I've been drunk at them all. Workington and Whitehaven played out an absolutely brilliant game. I think Jared Samet was the man of the match in that one. At some point, I don't know. I was drunk for them all. I've not watched a single match from the summer match sober.
I'm trying to think. I remember our game against Hull KR was a really good one.
In the rain, yeah, that was a good
game.
In the
rain, that was a cracker. I think all the games that were good. Probably not a heavy woolen derby. They were generally terrible games.
No, definitely not a Dewsbury versus Batley game at all. Always the low light of the weekend for me.
Yeah. But no, you're completely right. There's been some belting games, and yeah, hopefully there will.
The other thing to point out there, though, is there's one key difference between those two announcements, isn't there, Alan? One of them's offering refunds now, and the other one has not said anything about refunds yet.
Quite, and I do wonder about the calling it a postponement. I mean, I fully expected them to be, even in the best case scenario, to be rearranged, because they're both taking place at football grounds that are liable, to be completely rearranging their schedules anyway. So I was always aware that it was extremely likely that the dates would be changed anyway. But
also, I think if they're going to play all the games at one venue, it's more likely to be for TV only, because it suits TV better than for when you're going to try and get a lot of fans from all over the country to go to the same place. That seems very late stage of coming out of lockdown compared to...
I genuinely don't think that is going to be an option this year. I really don't.
Not as well as fitting in a grand final and a Challenge Cup final potentially.
No, exactly. I think there'll be, to call it a postponement to me seems a little bit optimistic. To say the least.
John, were you going to be going to either of the events?
No, not this year. No. I booked tickets for the Challenge Cup, but not for Magic or the Bash.
Fair enough. So you don't need to worry about the refunds, so that's okay.
No. I still might get smashed and watch them on telly now.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what I'm going to do anyway. That weekend of the 23rd and 24th of May, just do it from home rather than. I did cancel my hotel. I cancelled it last week before this announcement. I'd run out of hope. Alan, have you cancelled your Summer Bash hotel yet?
No, not yet.
No, if not, I've run out of hope of coming and visiting me anyway.
Well, that would be lovely, obviously, but as long as we maintain a good distance. I haven't cancelled it yet, but I realise it's an inevitability. But thank goodness for free cancellations. That's all I'm glad of.
Of course. Well, another inevitability, I suppose, was announced on the 22nd of April that the RFL have confirmed the Reserves League has been cancelled due to the COVID-19 lockdown. The decision has been made due to the heavy schedule some clubs face once the sport returns to the field. With a backlog of fixtures to pay, squad depth is set to be tested across all levels of the game. And we've already talked about this. Some of the younger players from the back end of squads are likely to get some first team games, which kind of usurps them being able to play for the reserves anyway. Existing players likely to be unavailable, on top of some of the clubs having to kind of bring in ringers from dual reg deals anyway to play in the Reserves League this year. So the season's been shelved, but it is expected to return next season at this stage, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, so a couple of bits of international news on the 25th. So the Greek Rugby League Association declared the 19 and 20 season void. The Rugby League European Federation has postponed the men's 2020 European Under-19s Championship, which was due to take place in Italy in Lignano Sabidor. Oh, I've butchered that.
I mean, I didn't even look that far ahead, but
yeah, Lignano Sabidoro. From the 3rd to the 13th of September. The tournament has been postponed and will take place a year later at the same venue and involve the same teams, which were to be England, France, Ireland, Italy, Scotland, Serbia, Wales and Ukraine. As part of the championship, the RLEF annual congress was due to have been held, and in the interim that will now become an online gathering, much like everything else in the world.
And everyone's just moving to the SLP way of doing things now. We moved to this model 3 years ago. I don't know why it's taken the whole world a global pandemic to catch up to us. On the 26th of April, 4020 News reported that National Conference League chairman Trevor Hunt announced the suspension of the 2020 season to be replaced with a series of regionalised group matches when games can get back underway. Hunt says that there had been hopes of resuming the season on the 6th of June, but that's changed when they thought that time frame became unrealistic. There will be no promotion and relegation within the National League structure this year. It's hoped that the regionalised tournament will maximise interest and revenues for the clubs. Hunt says the regional groupings and fixtures will be determined in collaboration with the RFL and in agreement with the government, obviously in terms of when they can return to play those games. So sensible there. What do we think about this making it regionalised matches? It might bring back some old rivalries that don't play in the same division now. What do we think about that, guys? John, any views?
Oh, I didn't go too well last time we played Bradford, did it? Oh no, that was the charity match earlier this year. The one before that wasn't great.
So basically, you're worried that some of the National Conference sides won't want to play some of their lower league rivals because it might echo what happened between Leeds and Bradford in the Challenge Cup. So from the other angle, looking at the lower leagues looking up, you'll imagine, say like a Wigan St Jude's will love the chance to play a Wigan St Pat's or those kind of close combat local rivalries, get them reignited at this stage.
It's an interest. I'll tell you what this particular news story does that the other ones hasn't. There's actually some indications of what the future will be. They've confirmed there's no. I know that the stakes are lower. They've confirmed there's no promotion and relegation. We don't know that about any of the higher leagues yet. They've got an indication about what the structure they want matches to be in, with it being this regionalised format. There's actually some kind of skeleton of a structure there that you can actually start to build things on, which is actually it's very positive. And I know they're in a tough situation, same as everybody, but at least they're able to confirm certain things. I think that's a good place to be, frankly, at the moment.
Because now they've come out with, like you say, a sort of framework to work in. They can then get in touch with all the clubs and start to think, well, where do you see yourself? Who do you see yourself playing against? They can start having those conversations now at a more detailed local level, so they don't need to be having the same conversation with Hull Dockers that they're having with like Blackbrook, that they're having with the guys up in Cumbria.
Exactly.
They can then separate all those things out already. Yeah, it's good.
You can devolve the discussion, can't you?
Yeah. One other bit of news that we sort of felt we should touch on then in This Week in Coronavirus, and it's the last piece of news story we're going to talk about, so it can be our and finally, as it were, from today, which is that it was revealed that NRL stars have been fined for breaching the social distancing rules in Australia. So Latrell Mitchell, Josh Adokar and Tyrone Roberts-Davies have each been issued with a 1,000 Aussie dollar COVID-19 related personal infringement notice after they were pictured on Adokar's Instagram account at a camping trip, breaking social distancing rules. So yeah. It looks like Adokar and his cousin Latrell Mitchell decided to go on a family camping trip, and it's not worked out well for them in the pocket there on that one. So
how did they possibly know that it'd be what absolute idiots.
I mean, the speculation, isn't there, of other people in this country breaking social distancing rules in the rugby league world as well, but no names and no fines have been announced in that regard, so it's just tittle-tattle, whereas this is a firm story for us to discuss. What amazes me about the photograph that's included with it is no one's mentioned that Jack Black's at the back of the photograph. That's what surprised me the most.
Perhaps he was casting for the next Jumanji film.
Maybe so.
Oh, is that? Yeah, right, come.
So has anyone got anything to add on this or any other tittle-tattle, as we say?
No more tittle-tattle.
It's ridiculously stupid, isn't it? It was, of all the things that NRL players get up to anyway, it was guaranteed that somebody was going to do something like that and spoil it for everybody, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's true. This is kind of one of the almost in a normal time. This would be a nice story about an NRL thing gone wrong compared to some of the stories.
I didn't realise they were cousins, so learned something there.
But it's but yeah, it is obviously stupid. And well, even though Australia are in a better situation than lots of places in Northern Europe and in North America and just America really. And some other countries around the world, it's still absolutely foolish and kind of makes you think, why aren't our fines as much as that? They've got no cases compared to us, and their fines are serious, whereas ours are a slap on the wrist. Anyway, that's politics. We try not to talk politics. I'll apologise, and we'll wrap up the news section and say that we're going to move on to what I think will be a very quick match review section. Match reviews then, and what have you all been up to this weekend? It must have been sunny where you were, because none of you have watched any games, or none of you got in touch with us with any of your fan reviews on any of the games from the last week, which is fine. I think, like I said last week, we all need to take a bit of a break from just watching our teams win, because it's gonna, in the end of the day, we're only going to come back to disappointment when we do get games again. If all we do is think our teams win games. I watched one Wigan draw just to even it out, but really, we can't go that far. But John, you've I guess had a bit of time off, and you were saying, as we were sort of catching up, but in between recording, that you managed to watch some of the highlights of some of the old grand finals, which as a Leeds fan is probably not a bad way to spend an evening, I'm guessing.
Well, the ones that we were in over the last sort of 5 years were quite good. And then as a neutral, it's all entertaining rugby, isn't it? So I think they were played for a few hours on Saturday on Sky Sports Arena or whatever. So 2015 and 2017 were both very good. Forward passes in both of them, I think, actually.
So looking back, then, I suppose as a Leeds fan, which grand final game maybe stands out best for you over that sort of period of dominance? I know you said you'd kind of been in and out of supporting the sport, but I'm guessing grand finals are kind of a game you wouldn't want to miss necessarily. Yeah,
well, out of those two specifically, I mean, it's really hard because 15 was obviously the cherry on top for the treble, but then that was 2017 was really, really nice after Castleford had been so good all year. And we'd been written off, and they'd beaten us put 60 points on us in, was it May, maybe?
The Battle of Pacings, Fatboy Rob will know the exact day.
I think Rob knows the date and the... so really to watch that and just be so dominant, and Danny Maguire was, absolutely unreal that day. So it'd be really tough to pick one that I enjoyed more. Maybe 2015 because he beat Wigan.
Thanks for that. I suppose when you look at the Rhinos grand finals, spanning 2004 all the way up to 2017, those two that you just spoke about, 15 for winning the treble and 17 because everyone thought the era had ended. I think even even like Leeds had already filmed its documentary about As Good As It Gets. And then...
yeah. And being so bad in 2016 as well, and really, not really, not really sort of going under the radar for so much of the season in 2017, and then ending up playing against Castleford in the final.
Yeah,
That was a really good story.
Yeah, I think aside from the first one,